That actually half worked. What's up guys, welcome back to the shop for another pyro project. For this video I went down to the dollar store and I cleaned them out of these little tiny smoke balls that come around this time of the year. Now I actually counted all these and we have 75 packs of 6 balls each. That's a total of 450 mini smoke bombs that we can consolidate into 4 giant smoke bombs. And that's the purpose of this project today. So here's the basic idea. I went and picked up 4 different cups here because we have 4 different colors. We've got yellow, white, blue, and purple. Now if you take one of these little smoke bombs and look inside, what you're gonna find is there's a layer of paper on the top. Once you pull that apart, you can see there's a seam line that connects 2 halves of a cardboard sphere. If you give that a little pop with your thumb, you can split the whole thing open and find the little smoke pellet that's inside. So our job at this point is to simply crack all 450 smoke bombs open, pull the pellets out, and group them by their respective colors. All right, cool, let's get cracking. There we go, there's the last package, they're all out. It would be fun almost to light this off. We've got a mountain of smoke bombs. I think that by itself could be a pretty epic time. But in the interest of saving space, we're gonna crack these things down, extract all those pellets, and organize them into their respective colors. All right, here we are guys. We have shelled 450 smoke bombs and put them into the different containers. One thing that I noticed is they're really heavy on the whites. Next up is blue, then we have yellow, then we have purple. And what was really interesting about this batch, I don't know where these came from, we ended up with 2 green. That's totally random. So now that we've got these things full, I'm really tempted just to go outside and light them off. The one question I have is, should we wrap them up in aluminum foil to make them jet out one hole, or should we just let the whole thing burn and see how that reacts? Now these are paper cups, so I think at least what I'm gonna do is put a couple of wraps of aluminum foil around the sides to help reinforce them. Then let's go outside, let's light the yellow one off first, and depending on how it reacts, so we can make a few adjustments from there. All right, we've got the aluminum foil on our cup, so it's time to head outside and try 2 different experiments. The first one, we're gonna light off one of these smoke bombs as is and see how it performs. Then we're gonna light off one of our souped up versions and see how they compare. So we got 4 of the regular dollar store smoke bombs. We're gonna light them up and see how they react. Here we go. Whoa. There we go. Yeah, so that was kind of pathetic. So yeah, that's kind of anticlimactic, but pretty much what you expect from dollar store smoke bombs. They only burn for about 5 seconds, and they're so light and flimsy they roll around in the wind. So let's see how they compare to our homemade version where we've got 100 of them in a cup. Now the question really is, when we light one of these off, is it gonna ignite the whole batch, or is it just gonna go off by itself and fizzle down and die? I guess there's really only one way to find out, so we're going to go ahead and light it up now. All right, let's light it up, moment of truth. Whoa, that's hot. That gets hot in a hurry. Woo, doggy. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so look down here, you can see all the charred remnants of what should have been smoke, and it goes totally charred and went off all at once. Now, it's very interesting. The cup lit on fire. It's a good thing we put the aluminum foil around it, and that helped give it some integrity. But the one thing I noticed, there was no yellow smoke. It just went up in this huge cloud, big puff of, like, I don't even know what, a lot of flames, and it just drifted away. Lighting up and spilling over. That's a lot of fire. What surprised me about that reaction is there really wasn't much smoke at all. It just kind of went up in flames. So where did all the coloring go? I see traces of it on the brick and on the road itself, but there was a lot of coloring in there, and now it's completely gone. It's very odd. My guess is the reaction was too hot and everything just burned up. So there was no chance for the smoke to just gently waft away. So I'm not very confident these other ones are gonna work, but we're gonna light them off just to be sure. But I think the next one we're gonna dump out in a pile so they're spread a little more evenly. Next up, we got the purple. All right, here we go. Let's see if this works any better. I'm gonna start at the side to see if we can get a slower burn and see if that makes a difference. Wow, that gets hot in a hurry. Interesting, interesting. This is interesting. Okay, let's talk about this. So that's our second batch. We lit it off and it ignites so quickly. The only smoke that I see is like a grayish smoke that evaporates. I don't see any color whatsoever. And all the dye is just left over here as like charred remnants. That's really pretty. See, that's what we were expecting, something of that nature. So what I'm noticing here, guys, I'm seeing a pattern here that if this burns too hot, and I think collectively all of these are too hot, then instead of releasing the dye, it scorches it, and it doesn't release any color at all. So we pretty much know what to expect at this point, but just for fun, I'm gonna wrap this whole thing in aluminum foil at the risk of it exploding, just to see how it reacts in a confined environment. All right, here we go, big one. It's lit. Whoa. We did. Look up there, we got a cloud of smoke trailing away. I thought I saw a little bit of color out of there. Not very much though. That was interesting. So it actually blew a hole through the top of the aluminum foil here. There's still little bits of random pieces blowing up there and a lot of fire. I don't actually, oh, you know what that is? That's the cup on the inside that's burning. But that just exploded out the top. It threw, if you look at the slow-mo on that, you can actually see the fuses and you can see like bits of smoke bomb flying out the top everywhere. It was a very dramatic reaction. So it's kind of hard to tell if this worked or not because these were actually the white smoke bombs. I did definitely see a big cloud of white go off. I can't really tell if this worked or not. So just for fun, we're gonna wrap up the last one. This is a full cup of blue and see what it does. There's probably about 125 blue smoke bombs in here. However, I'm not very optimistic it's gonna work. I think it's just gonna explode and it's gonna release black and white smoke. However, you never know unless you try. So here we go. Let's do it. Once it's lit, there's no turning back. Oh, nice. I got a little bit of blue there. Whoa. Oh, that actually half worked. I mean, for about 1.5 feet off of that thing, I could actually see thick blue smoke. It actually went very, very quickly, like 4 or 5 seconds, it was completely gone. And it spit out all this blue dye all over the road, and then it kind of went up into a whitish smoke, which is actually insane. Very dramatic reaction. It spit blue dye everywhere. It's all over the sidewalk, all over the road. It's gonna be a little bit of a mess to clean up, but that was pretty cool. I don't know if it's worth spending the money to make a giant smoke bomb, but that was a pretty cool reaction. So thinking back on the experiments that we just tried here today, we really tried 5 different experiments. We took smoke bombs from the dollar store and lit them off and found they burned between 3 to 6 seconds with a very wimpy plume of smoke. So we shelled those smoke bombs, stuck all the yellow ones in a container and lit them off all at once. What we found was a little bit unexpected. Rather than a giant cloud of yellow smoke, there was absolutely no colored smoke at all, at least assuming that white smoke doesn't really count. What I think happened instead was so much heat was released that it charred the dye and prevented any colored smoke from being released at all. So for our second experiment, we spread all the purple smoke bombs out on a couple of bricks to see if by increasing the surface area it would help slow the burn. And the idea might have worked, but they were still in such close proximity that the whole thing went up in a ball of fire with no visible color. For the third experiment, we tried wrapping a cup full of white smoke bombs in aluminum foil a few times to see how they would burn confined. And when we lit them off, we did actually see a big cloud of white smoke take off. Now, since it was white smoke bombs, we couldn't tell whether or not it had anything to do with the process. So for our fourth experiment, we wrapped the blue ones up in a similar manner. There still was an enormous amount of pressure that built up and it exploded, but what surprised me was we actually saw an explosion of color as well, at least for the first 1 to 1.5 feet above the container. So there you have it, guys. If you ever had a burning desire to know what would happen if you took hundreds of smoke bombs and burned them all together, now you know. Thanks for joining me for this experiment. I'll be looking for you in the next one. Talk to you then. Yeah, these aren't insulated gloves. These are wrong gloves for the job. Yeah, play with fire, you expect to get burned. Random happens. Hey guys, there is an event called CVX Live that I'm going to be at August 3rd through 5th. stage presentations, meet and greets. There's even a special superfan experience where we can hang out one-on-one. So click the link in the description and I'll be looking for you at CVX Live.